The coalition has now kissed and made up after what has been the shortest conscious uncoupling in politics. But there's still a tough road ahead for the opposition. Analysis from The Australian today revealing the new shadow cabinet is the most inexperienced in recent history. Only 9 of its 23 members have served in previous coalition government cabinets. In contrast, 21 out of 23 Labor cabinet ministers have previously had seats at the table. Now, Kel, do you think this lack of experience is going to be a worry for the Liberals?
I feel a bit torn about this. I mean, Andrew Bolt has been saying we need to give Susan Lee some space. We need to let her make her mistakes and get some things right, and we need to give her a chance to build what she's doing. And I feel there's a good argument there and it makes sense. But I'm torn. I'll tell you why I'm torn about this. When Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David created the Seinfeld show, Seinfeld had a principle of surrounding himself with the funniest people he could. Insecure comedians don't do that. They surround themselves with straight men who feed them lines. What he did was brilliant and made a comedy classic. In politics, you surround yourself with the cleverest people you can find. And there's a real worry that this shadow cabinet looks like a whole lot of payback. A whole lot of who's supported me, who hasn't supported me, who's with the moderates, who's with the Conservatives. It looks like that. It looks like she hasn't said, I want to surround myself with the very, very best, most experienced people I've got, which is why I'm torn over whether I should just sit back and say, look, she's new, give her a chance, see how she goes, because this doesn't look wonderful.
It does seem very factional. And Lucy, I want to get your take on this because the new Liberal leader, Susan Lee, she's also been forced to address what has been called time after time the party's women's issue. There may now well be a woman at the helm of the Liberals for the very first time, but under Lee, the number of women in cabinet actually decreased compared to under Peter Dutton. Here's Susan Lee defending that on the ABC this week.
Why so few women in the shadow cabinet?
Look, 40% of my shadow ministry is made up of women, and across our party room more broadly,
not as many as under Peter Dutton,
want to see
is that
more
right?
women.
Not as many under the former leader.
Well, the party is led by a woman.
Now, I personally hate that argument that you need to be a woman to appeal to women who care about so many of the same issues as men. But, Lucy, I do find the fact that there are now less women in cabinet under a female leader somewhat ironic, and that many of the most senior women now, Jane Hume, Claire Chandler, the best performers, Sarah Henderson, have all been demoted.
And Senator Price, right? There's another one that you can add into the mix after she defected to the Liberal Party, and so many people will credit her for basically getting the no vote over the line in the Voice campaign. And she's been such a star in politics. And bear in mind, she's only been in amongst it for about 3 years. So this whole concept of inexperience, to me, I don't like to get caught up in that because in football terms, to bring my old football broadcasting days back into the picture, Arsene Wenger, the renowned coach with Arsenal under the Invincibles era, he'd always said about particular players, you're old enough if you're good enough, right? So Susan Lee has been in politics for 24 years, right? Yeah. We've got a number of them that do have experience, but this so-called woman problem, I mean, I'm so sick and tired of this tag. I'm so sick of women being treated like being a female is a bit of a disability in some respects, particularly
but also, we need special
but how they